What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Tactical Advantage. Well, we've got another video with our Sig X5 Legion. Today what we're going to do is install the holosun 508T red reticle using the Springer Precision Optic plate. As you can see, SP0245 for the Sig P320 M17 Trigicon RMR mount, which is the same as the 508T footprint. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this installed. So first things first, we're going to do a quick field strip. As you guys have seen in the other videos, the Sig's particularly easy to field strip. No trigger pull required. And then we're down to the slide. So we'll basically do a basic field strip here to get it ready. And what's going on with the Legion, if you can see, I don't know if I can get the light just right, but there's one of the mounting screws right here inside this channel, and the other is right here under the extractor plunger. So basically what you need to do is, if you look on the rear of the slide here, you just have to push in, and it's dimpled. You have to push in your extractor plunger just a bit, and that'll allow your back plate to come off. There we go. And then we can remove the striker. And we'll go ahead and remove that plunger. And now we actually have a good view of both those screws. Oops, there's our extractor. Both those screws that are going onto the actual rear sight plate. Okay, and the Springer Precision slide plate kit comes with two Allen keys. One of them fits the factory plate, so let's try and see if we can get that off without too much hassle. And of course, probably gonna have to use a tool. Ooh. Okay, that one's good. And that one's good. Go ahead and pull them all the way out. Don't know how much of a fan I'm going to be of this screw from the bottom. Very different than like the Glocks and the other ones I use that are all kind of screw from the top. Just in case one backs out, it's going to back out and fall into the gun. I don't know how I feel about that. I might be worried about nothing. But there's your Legion plate with rear sight out. Go ahead and get that wiped off. And we'll do a test fit of the Springer plate. So it looks like the Springer plate, not the best machining I've ever seen in the world. I mean, it's got machine marks. It looks like it's machined just fine, but there's machining marks. But you have recoil lugs. The screws that come with it are for an RMR and will not fit the holosuns. But the holosuns come with a set of screws that are threaded the same, that are of two different sizes. So I'm going to try the holosun screws, but if you were really in a bind, you could take these RMR screws and just file them down, and that would work. I've had to do that before with RMRs on different guns, so that really doesn't bother me that much. But first things first, let's go ahead and get all these screws out and just see how the plate sits in there. I mean, it is nice that they've got what looks to be like hardened bosses in the plate for the screws. You've got this little foot that goes up under there to help control movement. Tight, tight, tight fit. So we might have to actually give that a tappy tap. You see how there's a little bit of daylight right there? So we'll go ahead and give that a little bit of motivation. And that's in. So really, really, really nice snug fit. I will give it that. All right, so now that we've got the plate actually in the gun, looks like it's seated good, we'll go ahead and get that mounted. So we'll use the screws that came with the Springer kit. We'll get those Loctited. I'm going to be pretty aggressive with the Loctite, more than I would normally use. They already did look dry and degreased, but the last thing I want is for these, dang it, is for these screws to come loose from underneath. That would be a problem. So get those prepped up. Get them mounted. You can see right there. Go number 2. Dang it. Gonna have to re-Loctite that one because I got butter fingers. Right there. You just fish around till you feel it start. There we go. So that, we know the factory ones were in relatively tight. So I'm going to go ahead and give it just a little bit of a snug. I could use my fat wrench for this, but I'm not too awful worried about it. Where are you? There we go. Okay. So plate's mounted. So now, like what I was talking about before, where the factory bolts for the RMR are too long, what happens when you go to try and mount the holosun, they actually bottom out on the slide and start trying to force this plate up, which obviously isn't good. So now we've got the 508T, which you guys probably know from watching the channel. I am a big fan of the holosuns. I run 507Cs on virtually everything, with the exception of my carry gun, which is still running a Trijicon RMR, but I really do like these holosuns. That's going to be interesting how high that rides on the plate, but it will be mounted. I might end up eventually just having the slide milled to get this, you know, back down kind of where it's supposed to be. That's a little bit high for my taste. But we'll go ahead and get it mounted. So first thing we're going to try, let me see, is what I'll probably end up doing is just taking one of the short screws, and we'll just kind of take a peek on if we think we'd get enough exposure to get a good thread bite, which we probably would. So if you use the short screws, that ship with your 508T, you have about a 3-thread exposure. So the other ones might be a little bit too long. We'll just take a peek. That looks like about a 5-thread exposure, and if we just set it up next to the plate like so, it looks like it might let's do that. Ooh, it'd be close. Close, but maybe too long. So I'm going to try the shorts. And we'll see if it feels like it's snug. These are pre-Loctited. And they come, these are Torx, where everything else we've been using were straight hex. So I'll get this first one started. No problem there. Yeah, only feels like maybe 2 threads of bite, which isn't a lot. Yeah, I'm not liking how that feels. I'm going to try a long one just to see if it seats. And you can see the difference between the short and the long here. If the long seats, that would be the preferred. But again, these are not the ones that came with the Springer Precision plate. And, oops. And it feels, nope, too long. It's pushing up on the bottom of the plate. So short one it is. So we'll just have to get some good torque on the short one, and I will just have to watch them and make sure they seat. What I'll probably end up doing is taking these long ones or taking the Springer Precision plate or screws and following them down exactly to the right length. Obviously the more bite you have, the better. So that's tight. That's tight. Again, you could use a fat wrench or something here, but I've done enough of these that, you know, a little bit past finger tight is about all you need. So that feels good. Okay, now we've got our optic installed, so we can go ahead and reassemble our slide. Go ahead and put in our extractor. Also put in our extractor plunger. You can feel it make contact. Go ahead and put in our striker assembly. And now we can go ahead and start to put in, dang it. Start to put in our slide plate. Get your slide plate. There you go. So there you have it. Optic installed, and she should be ready to rumble. So go ahead and reassemble. Lock the slide back, take down lever. And there you go. She's ready for the range, fellers. See you next time.